All right, friends, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite scales. I call it the Boogie Woogie Blues scale. Let's check it out. So the cool thing about playing over dominant seventh chords is that you can kind of mix this major and minor sound together. You know, the major sound is actually really the kind of the sound of the chord because a dominant chord is a major chord. However, we like to play minor blues over the top of it, right? So this scale actually kind of combines those two sounds together, and it has a really unique thing, and it's great to blend in with some of your other sounds. There's also some really clever ways that you can use this scale, and I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. Also, folks, if you learned something from this video, I invite you to study with me on Patreon. Just choose a tier that matches your playing ability and get instant access to hundreds of my exclusive guitar lessons. I also host monthly live streams, offer one-on-one virtual lessons with me, and much more. You'll learn in-depth theory, modes, and improvisation techniques with new lessons added each month. There's a 7-day free trial, so get started today by clicking the link in the description or visit patreon.com/Jeffery Marshall and get ready to rock. All right, so we're in the key of C today. We're just playing over a C7 Boogie Woogie. And the makeup of this scale is very specific. Of course, you don't have to play it all the time, but you can blend it in with some of your lines. So let's check it out. I'm going to start on a C note here. And really what it is, it's a blend of a C major triad and a C minor triad. So those first few notes would be the root tone, the minor third, the major third, the perfect fifth. All right, so there we go. That's kind of like a blend of our major and minor sounds. And then we're going to add the major six. And you can tell already it just has a really cool boogie woogie kind of blues flavor to it. Now, what's really cool about this scale is that it's still kind of a pentatonic scale. So you still have like two notes on a string like you would with a pentatonic scale, but it sounds a little bit different. It's just not your major or minor pentatonic or blues scale. One of my favorite fingerings for this scale would be found right here. So here's my C note. All right, and we can just simply play down this structure right here. So what this scale does is it eliminates the two or the second note of the scale. And that's what kind of gives it this unique sound because it has a little bit of a minor third thing here. But it also has the major third. So right here in this position, you can kind of rub those notes together and get a really cool sound. So of course what you want to do is you want to learn it on all the positions on the guitar. Some of my favorite little shapes are like right here, playing around this little D-shaped C chord here. Has a really kind of cool sound. And another thing I really like about it is it's kind of saving the flat 7. So you can always add the flat 7 and think of that as a color tone, especially when you want to transition, say, in a blues from the 1 to the 4 chord, from like C to F in this case. So you can see you can kind of save that flat 7 note, and now it kind of becomes a little bit more of a leading tone into the 4 chord. So that's what's really cool about it. One of the other cool things about it is it actually is kind of a skeleton structure for the dominant diminished scale. And the dominant diminished scale is a really fun scale to kind of throw some outside and wacky notes in there. So by looking at this structure, if I add a couple notes in there, like let's say for example I add the B flat here. Now the B flat's a flat 7, so that's kind of C7 of course. Now on the next string, you can add the flat 5 or the sharp 11, kind of giving you like a Lydian dominant kind of sound. But on the next string, we're going to add the flat 2. And this is where you start to get into some of that exotic sound. And that kind of is, you know, that diminished John Scofield, Scott Henderson kind of sound, but actually made really easy. And of course, if you know anything about the diminished scale, you can move things around a minor third. So I could actually move this up here. Now I'm kind of playing a quasi-minor blues, but now I can add in some of those other notes. Super hip and relatively easy to do, so I'm going to throw down over a track a little bit and check it out. right, super hip, man. And you know, you can blend in some of those little diminished notes here and there to get you some of those outside sounds, but you have a really basic structure to do it with, which is super hip. All right, I'll show you another way that you could use this. Remember, C major, A minor, kind of relative minor, right? So I could play this maybe over an A minor track. And what's cool about this is against A minor, what we're kind of eliminating is we're eliminating the fourth. So if we're playing it against A, we're kind of not playing that fourth. And that gives us just kind of an interesting sound, you know, it's not that typical kind of. So just by eliminating that one note, it makes it sound really unique. And then of course, just like we did over C, we can actually add in some of those little diminished notes and get some outside sounds. Let's check it out. All right, so it works great over an A minor type groove too, and it gives it a unique sound. And then of course you can always sneak in some of those diminished notes in there if you want to get a little wacky and a little weird. Super fun stuff and not too difficult to do. Okay, so basically what we got is we got a minor and a major triad kind of slammed together, and we're adding the major 6. We play that over C, and then we copy and paste that over A minor, and we get this kind of quasi A minor blues. And then also we can infiltrate it with some of those little diminished notes and even move that pattern around in minor thirds, and we're off to the races. If you dig it, share it, and I'll see you next time around.